But I do think it's encouraging when I have clients that set those large goals. I would say almost what's a better word instead of saying large? Like I want to say ambitious. That's the best word to use because I know that they want more. I know they're ready to see more. They're ready to do more. But I always have to just tell them my story, I guess, and just remind them or let them know that setting large goals is good, but small wins, consistent small wins are better. Just plain and simple. Those consistent small wins are better. I mean, I don't really know if there's any way to sugarcoat it or make it sound sexy, make it sound encouraging for the average person, the average user, I would say, or the average entrepreneur. But there is no entrepreneurship. The only thing sexy about it is the rewards. There is no shortcuts on this side. There's absolutely none. If it were, trust me, I'll tell you. And if you know any that doesn't compromise, my integrity, keep me posted, bro. I'm very interested in learning.
Let's go.
But the best way to be a powerful, impactful entrepreneur, business owner, corporate worker, whatever the case is consistency. Who said you can't use gaming to encourage people? Who said you can't use gaming to teach people the ways? Not me. Welcome to the new episode of Gems and Gaming. Get ready as we log in to share some life wisdom and put you on game. Let's get it. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Listen, it's day 2 of me back on my grind, right? So what we spoke about yesterday, so I'm just going to go ahead and just keep it moving. I said yesterday, man, I'm living the life I prayed for, man, so I might as well just stay grateful in that and just keep doing my thing. Right now I'm playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses, so if you're not familiar with Fire Emblem, that's okay. That's what I'm here for. Fire Emblem is a strategy game, and I'll show you. Let me show you before I set up my team, just so that you're familiar with what this game is about and why I like it and how I'm about to tie it into the lesson for today, which is essentially about being an entrepreneur, about business. In this strategy game, you kind of have this map. If I zoomed out the map, you can see how it really looks. So it's kind of like, you have your grid. I don't really know what's the dimensions. I'm like just staring. What is it, 20 by 25? I'm guesstimating. That's probably not even correct. Probably not even close. But essentially, you have your pieces, which is in this style of game, you have your team, who are just characters, right? So you still get to love the story, but for the sake of the mechanics, you have your team, which is your blue pieces, and you have the enemy team, which is the red pieces or yellow pieces. Usually it's just one set of enemies, but for this map I have red and yellow. Alright, so the whole concept is you're moving your pieces across the map, which we know really looks like this, but for the graphics of the game, this is how it's going to look. And the whole concept for this particular map is just clear out all of the enemy team. Plain and simple, super easy to get accustomed to it, right? So, why is this relevant? Why do I love it so much, and why do I think it's important for the topic of the day? It's simply because as someone that started a business and as someone whose job it is to coach and encourage and inspire other people, I know the importance of being strategic. We have a complete roster. You got your strong candidates and you have your candidates that are not as talented or not as impactful and effective. Now, just because something isn't good for you doesn't mean that someone else hasn't figured out how to master that thing. All right. So for me, I figured out what works well for me and how to take advantage of that. Also, based off of the situation that you're in, you have to figure out how to move and how to maneuver. Sometimes those weak pieces that you have might be the answer for the problem or scenario that you're facing. All right. So I saw the map. I saw enough. I kind of know what I'm in for. Not difficult, but basically what I want is something that can easily maneuver through the terrain of sand, right? They actually took the time to consider how your characters move or how your pieces move within each type of terrain. And for this one, it's a sandy place, so horses aren't going to move as easily. You kind of want you want your characters that can fly well or move freely throughout the terrain. It's a really, I would say, a really well thought out game. I mean, I absolutely love it. Way too many hours on this, if I'm being honest with you. But that's okay. You know, this is the type of game I think is perfect if we're trying to teach anyone who is an entrepreneur or aspiring to be an entrepreneur what you're going to encounter as you're building your business and building your brand. Which is, long story short, expect the unexpected. I don't want to be so cliche and say it just like that, but that ultimately is the reality of being an entrepreneur. You know, when you work for corporate, or you're working in a corporate job in a corporate environment, then your day to day, you can almost plan for consistency. You know, people that work 9 to 5s, I think they really should be happy about having a consistent schedule, because inconsistency is something that kills a lot of progress, a lot of development, only and simply because if you're not disciplined in an inconsistent environment, then you're going to do whatever it is you want, whatever's fun. You're going to live like you're going to live your own life, your own path, which I can just tell you from experience. I've been very disciplined as an entrepreneur, and I've also been very undisciplined as an entrepreneur as well. Any gap in your day-to-days in terms of consistency, any gap in your day-to-day in terms of being undisciplined, in terms of like free time and you're just doing whatever, you're not really focused on developing one particular area, or you don't really have any routine for your day, it's going to be a night and day difference in your productivity. You know, I'm just telling you from experience, it will be a night and day difference from your productivity. You know, I have a client, and I don't usually speak on I don't usually speak on my clients, you know, or tell other people about conversations that I have, simply because I'm big on confidentiality. I'm big on privacy, I guess. You know, and even though you guys have no idea what client I'm currently about to refer to, I still don't talk about it too much. So let's just use this lesson as something that I think is going to be, or use this story as, you know, something that's going to be a powerful lesson for you. I knew what type of individual my client was, obviously, and is, from private conversations, from learning a lot more about their hopes and dreams and desires, and how they see themselves. You know, you learn a lot about clients, obviously, spending a lot of time with them. And I just remember my client telling me her, just like, I don't want to say her hopes and dreams, but just goals that she set for herself. I remember her telling me about that. And I thought it was, and I think it is, you know, encouraging whenever my clients set big goals, because I know for a fact that they're not where they want to be. I know y'all probably saw the hours if you go back and see how if you are that type of person to actually rewind and see how much I played. But I do think it's encouraging when I have clients that set those large goals. I would say almost what's a better word instead of saying large, like I want to say ambitious. That's the best word to use, because I know that they want more. I know they're ready to see more. They're ready to do more. But I always have to just tell them my story, I guess, and just remind them or let them know that setting large goals is good, but small wins, consistent small wins are better. You know, just plain and simple. Those consistent small wins are better. I mean, I don't really know if there's any way to sugarcoat it or make it sound sexy, you know, make it sound encouraging for the average person, the average user, I would say, or the average entrepreneur. But there is no entrepreneurship. The only thing sexy about it is the rewards. There is no shortcuts on this side. There's absolutely nothing. If it were, trust me, I'll tell you. And if you know any that doesn't compromise, you know, my integrity, you know, keep me posted, bro. I'm very interested in learning. Let's go. But the best way to be a powerful, impactful entrepreneur, business owner, corporate worker, whatever the case is consistency. Being consistent, there's no better option, I would say. And things that you should be consistent on, one thing for sure that you should never let go is your development. When I say development, I just mean how much you're learning, how much you know, how much you're contributing. Like, never stop making sure that you're adding the max contribution to a thing, or that you're developing more than your coworkers. Because I'm gonna tell you something, those people that are consistent in growing and learning and developing, they're going to be the bosses of the future. They're going to be the richest people. They're going to be the ones we're answering to, because those people that never give up, those people that are consistent, they're the ones that's figuring out solutions to problems that the average person complains about. Listen, I'm to me, I wouldn't say I'm above average. I think I am only a little bit more consistent than the average corporate worker, I guess. So I'm not saying I'm above average, like I'm above this particular person. I just think my work ethic is a little bit more consistent than theirs. And that's because I know my weaknesses. And my most glaring weakness in the stages when I'm undeveloped is that I am, what's a good word for this? Like, in a personality test, a personality that you could have, or a personality type that you could have is, or a part of your personality type that you could have, talks about your this, it's called judging and prospecting. I don't really know a simple way to put it in layman terms, if I'm being honest with you. It's just called judging or prospecting. A judging person is more decisive. A prospecting person is willing to test the waters a lot more. And I think that I need to take another test actually as I'm talking. It's coming to mind, but I think that is the results of my last test. Was I can I kind of go off the beat of my own drum, which is fun. That and it's cool. And like I said, it's a blessing to even be able to say that I can do that. Um, you know, I definitely don't take it for granted. I will say though that it can be a significant weakness if I ever decide or choose to decide in that day, oh, I'm gonna be lazy, or oh, I'm not gonna go ham today. I'm not gonna go hard today. Um, it can be a significant problem, and I'm not saying that it's not a I'm not saying it's a deal breaker to your development, because that's definitely not the case. There are some people that are lazy and still very productive. Very true. But it's not about you chilling one day or you hanging out the next, and then you working hard one day. I guess the whole point that I'm trying to say is, are you consistent at development? This game, we're talking about strategy and, using the terrain and making sure that you're using the right pieces and beating their team and using the best resources available. I've played this game for so many hours and failed so many times. This was one of the hardest games I ever played, and so is the next Fire Emblem. It looks easy, I suppose, right now, but that's only because I put in so much effort, so many hours, so much progression came from me going to my wife and like, man, this game sucks, bro. It's too hard. I don't get why this character does this. I don't get this mechanic, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually it's just fun for me because I solved the problem, and I didn't solve it by quitting. I solved it by being consistent. The more consistent that I became in playing this game and learning the mechanics and figuring out why I was losing and figure out, which attacks do more, which moves makes the most sense, which terrain is the best. Once I figured all this out, without knowing, that consistency created a discipline where in my areas of weaknesses, I actually strategically turn those into strengths, because I know that I game, and I know that's a part of my hobbies. So why not make it into videos where I can post it online? Why not turn that hobby into something that can be productive? Why not, instead of coaching people traditionally in a career setting, turn it into a game? That's how we have pitch play. We made business into a game. It's something that I'm used to. It's how I think. And now clients that want either the traditional coaching, or clients that want the new innovative way of thinking coaching, I can provide both of those. I've turned a hobby that I turned the situations that were given to me into, I don't want to say weapons, but into weapons for my toolkit. I can go into any battle in terms of the coaching world, and battle in terms of like coaching and teaching a client how to think and get better, et cetera, et cetera. I've turned all of those things that I thought were weaknesses into strengths just by being consistent at getting better. Just being consistent, just being consistent. Corporate workers, listen, if you are watching this thinking about being an entrepreneur, I think you should learn one thing from your job right now. The coolest thing about having a 9 to 5 is that you know exactly when and where they are working. At 9 to 5, I am working, and I am working at whatever company I'm currently at. They are being consistent. They're going to build a brand that's well known within that ecosystem for sure, within their environment. People know exactly who they are. They know exactly where they'll be. They know exactly how to reach them. They are very, very, very reliable. It's, you know, if they haven't gotten fired and are getting more opportunities, they're very reliable. They are someone that whoever is inside that corporate job, whoever hired them, whoever is their manager, they're someone that they know. That manager knows that I can rely on this person. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be ready. They're always going to show up. They're consistent. Yes, they make mistakes. No, they're not perfect, but they're going to show up. They're consistent. Bro, it's one of the most easiest ways to develop as an entrepreneur is to never give up. Whether you're working full time as an entrepreneur or working as a corporate worker, I understand you're going to have a lazy day or two or three or month or year. I get it. It happens to the best of us. None of us wish that it did. We always wish that we were picture perfect every single time. I have not yet met that particular person that was perfect every single time. I don't think I ever will. But I have seen so many success stories, and I'm telling y'all, those people that are successful, they're not doing anything different from the other person who was successful. You know, any other example I can think of. But I can tell you one thing for certain that they all have in common is their consistency. Look at the map. This map is different. You know, this map is different than the one we were just looking at. It's a different dimensions, it's different enemies, it's, you know, it's different terrain. There's some stuff that I can't navigate through. There are different paths. Some paths are narrower, some paths are wider for me to make decisions. Every single time you step out in the business world, you're going to see something new, and it might scare you, it might freak you out. You have no idea what you're doing. You're like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was a thing. You know, all of those things are going to happen, but you know why you're not going to freak out? You know why you're not going to stress? It's because more than anything, you should feel prepared, because you know that day in and day out, you're going to give 100% effort. I say, even if you're resting, like even if it's one of your days, you like, bro, I don't feel like doing nothing, I just kind of want to chill, bro, you better you better learn how to rest hard, because some people try to rest, some people try to be lazy, and they think about work all the time. And you know, some people go on vacation and they think about what they're gonna do when they get back to work, and now they're so mentally tired when they return. Now they need a vacation from their vacation, and it's exhausting. Like, it's exhausting. So even if you resting, learning how to rest, you know, have a rest day consistently, not just, I'm gonna just rest randomly today. Like, no, bro, do everything with intention. Everything do everything with intention. Everything, not anything, everything. Do it with intention. That way you're going to learn how to develop yourself. Let's go. When and where and why you need to develop yourself. Honestly, I haven't spoke about like relationships or anything, but who you need to develop yourself with, you know, the cool thing about being consistent is even when you're building relationships with people, if you're building a relationship with someone who you don't speak with that often, and you can't really figure out this person, you can't figure out why y'all not getting along or anything like that, ask yourself, am I even consistent with interacting with this person? Have I ever asked this person any difficult questions? Did I give them any opportunity at all to even, how do I say, allow for an opportunity for improvement? Or did I just say, you know what, I don't like that person, I'm done with this person, I'm gone, I'm done, I don't want to speak to them no more, I don't want them to say a word to me. If they say something to me, I'm kicking their butts. Like, did you already close the door to opportunities for improvement? Right? That is an example of a bad example of, how about this, a good example of bad relationship management. You know, some people I've seen it. They close the doors on people. They say this person is not good enough. They refuse to grow their relationship with their particular individual. And the next thing you know, that individual, let's just say, is in the business world, they're popping off. Now they have everything you need to be successful, but you were too arrogant, too shallow, or let's say that, too shallow. I don't want to say arrogant, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You didn't believe that they could help you. You didn't believe that there was any point in building that relationship, and then the next thing you know, you just missed out on a huge opportunity to grow, simply because you refused to work on something that you needed to work on, which was your relationship with this person. Yeah, y'all catching the point? You're understanding exactly the point that I'm trying to articulate. You know, being consistent is how you become the greatest entrepreneur, the greatest business owner, the greatest husband, the greatest wife. Just learning and making sure that you are consistently getting better in everything that you do is how you move up, how you get better, how you make a difference. I'm telling you, and I'm not saying this, you know, as someone that didn't test the waters or experiment or anything like that. I'm telling you straight up, I've tested this, I've lived this. I know for a fact that the person who is the most consistent is the one that's going to win the game. To me, the game is business. We're just talking about business right now. And that is simply because they are doing something that the average individual does not do, which is be consistent. Just telling you how it is. This game, to me, I love it, but at first I had a love-hate relationship with it. Just like, bro, I don't understand. Like, why did they build this that way? Why did they do this way? I had to honestly learn this game, get better at it, be more consistent with it. You know, the rewards are different when you play longer. Like, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy because, like, right now I know what's going to happen. On the left side of the map, I know that this person is going to. Never mind. I assumed what was going to happen, and I was incorrect. I thought I was going to lose a piece, but I didn't. But, I mean, even if I did, ironically enough, I know that there is a solution that I can apply, because it wouldn't be my first time losing a piece. You know, I've done it before. You know, even when you start your business, and let's say you do get lazy and you stop and you're not doing as much anymore. You started your YouTube channel, you started your band, you started your hobby, your piano playing, your ballet, you know, whatever. It don't matter. You know, I'm naming things I know people do and I've seen people be consistent with. But whatever it is that you're doing that I didn't call out, even if you stop, you still have the advantage in that hobby over me because you started already. You are already winning. This is why I know that you being consistent in whatever it is you do will automatically make you one of the best, if not the best person in that field, simply because you're doing more than I ever will in that field. Unless you're a coach, unless you game, unless you play basketball, you know, unless you're doing the things that I'm into, I'm going to look at you as the expert because you're doing it more than I am. You know why people still pay people for information? You know, you ever look on Threads or Twitter or whatever, or Reddit, whatever you're into, whatever you like, You ever look on those platforms and just see like, oh man, I can't believe people still getting scammed by so-and-so experts or whatever the case is. You know why those experts are quote unquote still scamming people? You know why they're still getting opportunities? You know why they're still getting paid? Whatever it is you think they shouldn't be getting paid for, you know why they are? It's because people trust people who are consistent. Listen, I could AI everything for the rest of my life and feel like one of the smartest people ever. Only because I know I can look up information and I'm going to get an answer. I know that all of us have that ability to get that answer. But the reason I still go to a doctor, the reason I still go to a chiropractor, the reason I still go to any service provider that is providing something that, yes, I can look up and probably get the answer quicker, faster, most like, probably be correct, probably do it myself, probably save a lot of money. You know why we still go to those service providers? Is because they are doing the work every day, and they now have my trust that they are still going to provide the excellent service that they provided yesterday. They are going to correct the mistakes that they did a year ago. And with me, I know that they're going to give the best service that they can provide because they've been doing it. They're consistent, and I trust them. That's just my mentality, but that's just every consumer's mentality. You don't go to McDonald's for customer service. You go because you know they're going to give you delicious, greasy food. Come on. You thinking about going right now, you're like, dang, bro. A number 6. You know, the numbers changed so much since I grew up. You know, we had a dollar menu when I was growing up, and it was actually $1. But, you know, I'm going to get a number 6, and it's going to slap every time. Yes, the person might have an attitude. They might not. It might be a surprise if they don't. But I'm not going there for customer service. If I want a customer service, I'm going to Chick-fil-A because they're consistent with it. They're going to provide the same type of customer service every single time. I am not going to McDonald's for that. I'm going for big, greasy food. Yes, I can make greasy food at the crib and make it delicious. But I'm not doing that. I'm not going for me. I'm going because they are consistently providing the exact same service. Listen, you have the advantage over me in whatever field it is that you're doing. Unless it is coaching. You know, unless it is something that I do consistently, I wouldn't dare insult you by questioning what it is you do. I might provide feedback. I might provide questions. I might ask questions to provide feedback. You know, I might say a statement or two. I'm a coach, right? So it's just my mentality to always go into solution mode whenever I'm thinking about something. But at the end of the day, you're going to have my trust that you can provide or find a solution simply because you are being consistent at what it is that you do. I got friends that started bands and they haven't done their music in a long time. If they and when they release their music, I'm listening. I'm listening because I know it's going to be better than whatever I can do today. Like, you're already winning. You already put in the work, bro. Now it's just time for people to see it. Plain and simple, man. Plain and simple. All right, look. Speaking of going back to work, we got our new playbook from Pitch Play, and people are requesting their updated playbook and requesting coaching from me in particular, and my other coaches. But I'm excited to get back and get more clients. So let me actually do that, since I know that people work 9 to 5 and it's still between 9 to 5. I know that she's still in work mode. So let me send her an email. Let me go ahead and get out of here. Listen, y'all take it easy and God bless.